Hello and welcome back to another tutorial on Print Me Some Color. So today's tutorial is going to be about illustrating this set of banana leaves in Procreate. I've just created a square file. That is, if you go to canvas information, okay, that's a 2048 pixels into 2048 pixels. And then the DPI is 132 because this is the default square that comes with Procreate. That is, if you go here and if you click on this, you will see square, and that's exactly what I've used. So, all right, so let's begin with first things first. That is for color. I have a set of greens that I've selected. I will share this color set with you guys so that you can download it and use it for Procreate. And with brushes, we'll go into inking and we'll use a brush called Mercury. So this brush Mercury has a kind of a ragged edge to it. So if you don't like this, you can always use some simple brushes. Like if you go into inking, there's something called as Studio Pen. You can use that as well. Or you can also go to calligraphy and use monoline, which is like this. So, but for this tutorial purposes, I'm going to be using Mercury. So here I've set the brush size to about 2%. So which is this size. That's okay. We can actually reduce the size as well. Let's make sure it's 2%. Okay. And now we'll start drawing our banana leaves. The basic idea is to draw the banana leaves in different layers. And then we'll try to add these gradients and then a little bit of shadow to make sure that it looks like it's overlapping each other. So now we are in our layer 1. And let's go ahead and draw our first banana leaves. I'll just take the darkest green here, because I want it to be really dark. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw a line and then some ridges like this. You can see I'm not being very uniform or anything. It looks really ragged and stuff like that. But that's okay. Now I'll go ahead and choose a little lighter color. You can also choose that green. Click on that. Go to your classic, or you could also go to disk. But I think classic would be better. You can just scroll up a bit so that it's a little lighter in color. Let's draw this. Okay, so this side of the banana leaf is ready. And now we'll make one more over here in this corner. I'll just be in the same green, and I'm just going to go ahead and make one more. That. Color it, and then you go back to your other green. If you don't want to go like that, you can just click and hold and it selects it. Let's do that. Okay, and now it's time to go out to a new layer. So click on this and click on new layer, and let's make the other set of banana leaves. So let's go here. I'm going to my palette and I'm taking the lightest green that I have, and we are not going to change the size. So click and make something like this. And I'll take a little darker one and color that as well, like that. And we'll make one more somewhere here. And since we have used the darker side on this side, you can still use the darker one on this side. So and now it's time to go ahead to the next layer. And now here we're going to make, I guess, one single thing would be enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this color, that is, select this color. And I want it a little darker, so I'm going to classic and then bring it up down a notch. And let's make it like this. This should be straight, something like that. There you go. And for the other side, I'll still use the light green. And next up, we'll create one more layer and we'll try to fill in all these gaps that we see. First of all, I'm going to take the light green, which is selected. So let's just make one here. I know you cannot see it right now, but you can see it here. And let's take the darker green. Color this. Okay, and let's make one over here as well. And you can actually hide the layers if you want, so that you can see properly like what you're drawing. And noops. Oh, I did the wrong one here, so I'll have to change that. And I'm going to uncheck this because it's easier for me. Okay, I'll select the light one here and probably make it like this. Let's bring this back up. Okay, I see one thing here. I think I want this to be changed, so I'll just go back here and I'll uncheck these three because I want to see clearly what's happening. And let's click on the eraser tool, bring it up to the notch and erase this off. So now I can put these back up, and I can see here that this is not right. So I'll just go back to that layer and click on your brush tool, and now let's select the other lighter layer and make something like this. Okay, now let's take the darker one. Something like this. You would want to cover this white space, so I'll just go back. Something like this. Okay, that looks much better now. Let's go back and turn on these layers. And now let's go to the topmost layer, and I'm still not happy with this blank space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the darkest one here and make sure it does not coincide with, let's just take it out. Make sure it does not touch this leaf right here. So I'm just going to make a thing like that. Color it up. I also see one problem here because I want a lot of gap here so that the shadows will shine through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the eraser tool and reduce the size obviously, and see if I can erase some. I'm going to edit it again with my tool anyway, or you could also keep it, or you could erase this whole block away. And then you can select this color. Okay, and let's go ahead and turn this on right now. Okay, I think they look pretty great, and now actually it's time to add some shadows. So let's just do that. So first of all, this is the bottommost layer, and we'll start our shadows from here. But before that, we need to make sure we select this color and go back, and you can go to classic and bring it down a notch so that it's a little more darker than it is already. And then you can go to your airbrushing tool, and you can select your soft airbrush and see how it looks. It's something like this. So we're going to edit the soft airbrush tool a little bit. So now we're going to modify this soft airbrush a little bit so that it looks a bit like this. So you can right click and click on duplicate because you don't want to modify this one. So click on that. And for spacing, we'll keep it around 15%. And for jitter, let's take it up a notch and make it 50. Yeah, something like this. And this should look good. Click on done and click outside. Okay, we have this color selected, and we have to select whatever we want here right now. Okay, so once you have selected that brush, we have our color selected. It's important that we put this in alpha lock. Click on that and click on alpha lock because we don't want to edit any outside areas as such. And now here I've set the brush setting to about 66%, and I'm going to reduce the opacity to maybe about, again, 55%. And now I'm going to just go ahead the areas where you see these edges, and you're not going to touch the other areas. So let's just go ahead and do that. And as you can see, you can't do it here because this is in a completely different layer. It's not up on it. So again here, and let's do it like this. Now let's go to this layer and click on alpha lock. And now we're going to do the same thing over here. A little bit up here as well. And a little bit here. Okay, now let's go to the next one and alpha lock. And it's this big leaf here. So we're just going to go ahead. Oh, we don't want to do there. We don't want to do here actually. And of course here. And of course here. Oops, not there. So it's basically this part here as well. But that's a bit too dark. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it something like this. Okay. And now the topmost layer is this one, which does not make sense to give it any sort of texture to that. But now once this is all complete and you want to still give some texture to your drawings, so we're going to create a new layer, and or you can create alpha lock. Then you can go to your brushes, and then you can go to something called as textures, and here you have multiple textures that you can find. There's this texture called as Melaleuca. I hope I pronounced it right. You can just click on that, and now if you give it some texture like this, you can see that the leaves have some kind of texture. But before that, you should always make sure you're in alpha lock, by the way. You don't want it to go to the rest of your... Oops. Let's go ahead and go to this leaf, and let's give it some kind of a texture. As you can see, I'm giving it very light. Nothing too dark or fancy like this. This is like way too much. So it's very light, and it's mostly on the brighter side. You can do that for all your leaves. A little bit of texture is always good. So I guess we have given texture to all our leaves, and yeah, it's totally up to you, by the way. You don't really have to give this texture. If you want, you can also undo that and just keep it plain as it is, because I think it'll still look much better like that. We are done with our leaves, but the thing is, sometimes you're not happy with the color. Don't worry, you can still adjust it. Now we'll group all these layers together because we want to apply some color changes and we want it on the group level. So just right switch like this, and all these get color selected, and click on group, and it creates a new group like this. So now that you have grouped them together, I'm just going to click like this and click on duplicate, because we don't want to modify the actual, the original drawing. So I'm going to uncheck this. Now on this group, I'm going to click on it and say flatten, and then it flattens that layer. That is, everything is in one single layer now. So you should do this only after you have applied all the textures and everything that you want. Let's go to our magic wand and click on hue, saturation, and brightness. So we're going to bring up the saturation because we want it to be nice, bright, and green. That's the whole idea here. So let's bring it up a little bit, and you can change the hues here. You can make it a little bit more greener or whatever you want right here. And I'm going to make it 50%, however it was. You could also increase the brightness or reduce it. I'll just keep it at 50% and then click on this. Okay, so you have your banana leaves ready, and now if you want, you can add some text or anything on it, but you can just click on this and click on add. Oops. So make sure we are in our layer, click on this and click on add text, and you can change the color to whatever you want. I don't know. And then you can say hello and edit style, whatever you like. Done. And then your artwork is ready, and it's ready to be exported. You can just click on this and say share and export it as JPEG or anything, and then you can either send it via airdrop to your other devices, or you can save this image and then upload it to Instagram. So I guess that's it. That brings us to the end of this tutorial, and this is how you kind of create gradients and shading and things like that when you want to make with banana leaves. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you'll come back again next week to watch more videos. Bye bye.